Domestic violence is a serious issue that affects countless lives, and while it's a global problem, let's not pretend this is a cheery we are the world situation. Today we're looking back at some of the most shocking cases from 2016 in Australia, a year marked by a string of high-profile domestic violence deaths that shocked the nation. And when I say shocked, I don't mean it in the way that your friends pretend to be shocked that you still haven't watched Squid Game. I mean genuinely surprised and horrified. Because while Australia likes to think of itself as laid back, this isn't the kind of no worries mate situation you can just brush off. In September 2015, just before the year we're talking about but relevant to the story, so shut up, Tara Brown was trying to escape a violent relationship with her ex-partner Lionel Patea. After a custody exchange for their young daughter, Patea rammed Brown's car off the road. And when I say rammed, I don't mean he accidentally bumped it while trying to parallel park. This was full-on death race 2016, except with more domestic violence and fewer Jason Statham cameos. He then used a metal fire hydrant lid to brutally attack her while she was trapped in the wreckage. Despite undergoing surgery for extensive head injuries, Brown tragically died. Now you might be thinking, well, at least this monster is rotting in prison, and you'd be right, except for the rotting part. He's actually getting quite swole if his prison workout selfies are anything to go by. In March 2016, Karina Locke, a mother of two, was shot dead by her estranged husband in a horrifying public murder-suicide. The incident took place at a McDonald's restaurant in broad daylight in front of terrified witnesses. Locke had taken out a restraining order against her husband just days before the incident, highlighting the terrifying speed at which these situations can escalate. And let's not forget the impact on those witnesses, forced to confront the reality that sometimes the Hamburglar isn't the scariest thing at McDonald's. This case sparked outrage and grief across Australia, leading many to question why more wasn't being done to protect victims of domestic violence. But let's be honest, sparking outrage and questioning things is pretty much Australia's national pastime, right behind putting shrimp on the barbie and losing to England in cricket. Chapter 3. The death of Teresa Bradford. Just a month after Karina Locke's murder, another tragedy struck. Teresa Bradford, a mother of four, was killed by her estranged husband in her own home. Now you might be thinking, hold on, didn't you say this was a year of high-profile cases? This is just awful, tragic stuff. Where's the high profile? Well, here's the kicker. Bradford's husband had been released on bail just weeks earlier after being charged with her attempted murder. Yes, you heard that right. Attempted murder, out on bail, then actual murder. It's almost like someone looked at the justice system and said, how can we make this more like a terrible Liam Neeson movie, but with less coherent plotting? Bradford's death ignited a firestorm of criticism directed at the leniency shown towards domestic violence offenders. Because let's be honest, leniency is a funny way of saying dangerously incompetent. Chapter 4. The murder of Tanya Simpson. In March 2016, Tanya Simpson and her two young children were reported missing. Their disappearance sparked a massive search effort because even in the darkest timelines, people hold on to hope. Tragically, their bodies were discovered days later in a horrific scene. Simpson's ex-partner, the children's father, was charged with their murders. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, John, this is beyond grim. Can we have a palate cleanser, maybe a cute koala video? And normally I'd be all for it. But the thing is, these stories matter. These women matter. Their stories deserve more than just a cursory glance before we click on something more light-hearted. Because the cycle of violence continues when we look away. Chapter 5. The murder of Zena Edwards. In December 2016, Zena Edwards was found dead in her home in North Queensland. Edwards, a mother of two, had been stabbed multiple times. Edwards's partner was charged with her murder. This case, while horrific, sadly wasn't unique. It was yet another example of the deadly pattern of domestic violence that plagued Australia in 2016. And look, I know what you're thinking, John, you promised us shocking cases, but this just feels depressingly routine. And you're not wrong, but that's the problem, isn't it? Domestic violence shouldn't be routine. It shouldn't be so commonplace that we become desensitized to its horrors. Each of these cases represents a life cut tragically short, a family shattered, and a community left reeling. Outro breaking the cycle. These cases, as shocking as they are, represent only a fraction of the domestic violence incidents that occurred in Australia in 2016. They highlight the urgent need for stronger measures to protect victims of domestic violence. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, please reach out to local support services. There is help available and you don't have to suffer in silence. Together we can make a difference, because remember, Australia, you're more than just drop bears and Vegemite. You're a nation capable of compassion, action, and bloody well demanding better.